All right, it's the next day. I did manage to go to the junkyard and get some new injectors. So they're here. I just got 3 of them. I did do a basic bench test, and I tested for pressure and just manually open the injectors, simulating a driver to the best of my abilities. But the main thing I was looking for was this pintle hump here. As long as I got that, I think we have our best chances of it working. Like I said, I'd rather see a larger node there, but it's not. So it is what it is. And so I electronically tested them. I don't care about resistance value, and I added compressed air behind them, and they're locked in, so they're not leaking. So I suspect those, mainly the one in the back, to be leaking, but it's got to be very aggressive. It's got to be very bad. So we're gonna pull all those out in the back, and obviously do the front. Just take the whole fuel rail up. Just get it on a bench, and then we can just add pressure and probably put the injector in water. Who knows? I got a bunch of options. More than likely, I'll just probably pull individual injectors out. Could do that. But mainly that one in the back is that number 1 where we're going after. So let me get the camera set up, and we're simply just going to remove this intake. There's a bolt in the back that supports the intake on this side. Here's a 13 for the bracket. We've got to pull the EGR off. There's a grommet and some 8 millimeters, some hoses, air intake assembly, some tins here, intake runners. Tool those connectors out, and we should be able to have good access to just lift the intake up and do what we need to do. So I'm gonna get this camera set up, and we'll get to work. That was a bracket on the driver's side in the back. It's a 13 at the top and then a 15 out at the bottom. I had to get out. That was the EGR. See? Yeah, okay, so that was able. Man. Is that loose or is it supposed to swivel? I guess it's supposed to swivel, I didn't know. So we're in the clear now. Let me put some rags over the intake and then clean the area off in the back on the first bank. You know what I forgot? This is port injection. We can simply turn the key in the on position and watch our injector leak out. Let me get this camera set up. What we got? Oh yeah. Look at that. Man, that was a hell of a diagnosis. Wow. Is there any other ones leaking? Well, this will explain it. Look at that. It's just spewing out. This is just spewing out. Let's do this. Let's disconnect it. And it should still spew out. And that'll verify that we had a bad injector. That'll verify all our data was correct. And yeah, yep, still going. Still going. That is crazy. That is crazy. Ooh. let's see if we got any other ones going. Nope. Nope. It's just that one. It's just that one. If I can get, I have to put the bore scope down there and just actually test all the other ones. It's still going too. Still going. That is crazy. So remember, that extended crank we had, that was because of the fuel system being depressurized. Also, the rich banks was because of the scavenging, like I was suspecting. So there's a lot of fuel just sitting in the exhaust system, and all the other sensors are going to be rich and the banks. So that, I mean, everything that I was suspecting when I had all the data at my exposure totally justified this replacement. Totally justified it. So logically, I can just change that one injector and I should be fine. That'll take care of all our problems. So I don't know how I feel about replacing all of them. And if they're not bad, I mean, why bother replacing them? The thing is, when we get mild or poor pintle hump, we could have the stuck injector like we got, or we can just have a weak injector, which is what that indicates, and it'll cause rich conditions. In our case, it was just a stuck injector because we saw zero pintle hump. Let's get this area cleaned up, get this fuel rail pulled off, and get this injector replaced. To add, she told me she had some spark plugs in the back because her dad couldn't get the ones in the back. No big deal. I'm gonna get those replaced also. Let's go ahead and get the area cleaned up so we don't have any trash going to our injector ports, and then we'll lube the bases of them up and get the Here's our bad injector. Looks like a normal injector. You wouldn't be able to tell from how it looks superficially. It wouldn't hurt just to throw some compressed air in the back to see what happens, but we already saw everything we needed to see. Let's get this marked up and get the new injector installed in reverse order. Just gonna put a mark on it so I know that I'm not putting a bad one back in there. Alright, there we go. The injector came out of an identical car, so I'm just going to take some dielectric grease, go around the O-ring at the top and at the base, so it'll slide in with no problem. Here's our spark plugs. Here's number one, the one that was fouled out really bad with a leaky injector. You see how wet it is. And then we got 3 and 5. They look normal. They just worn out, need to be replaced. Gap is very excessive. Unlike a lot of other cases where I typically point out the compression seeping through the porcelain here where they're pressed in, this is a good quality spark plug, and you're not all the time going to get that. That's why you just got to go off the gap on these type of plugs. Okay. Owners did go with Champion, the factory plugs that go in this vehicle. These are OE plugs. If I'm gonna check gap, no. To be honest, it don't make much of a difference on a regular vehicle, especially when they're close to factory. You can personally eyeball them. They're not gonna make a difference. This is for you people who believe coils have memory and they need to go back in a designated area. I'm gonna intentionally mix these up just for you guys. This was number 5. Oh shoot, going to number 1. Here's number 1, going to number 5. And I guess here's the regular one that went into its natural position, going into number 3. So yeah, for y'all who think coils have memories, y'all are crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. I dare you to prove me wrong too. Let's get this intake back on, and then we're gonna start up and see if I fixed something or if I screwed up something. I'm sorry, where's my common sense? We need to verify that this injector is no longer leaking. Let's put this back and prime the system. How we looking? Oh yeah, we're good. I don't know if y'all heard a fuel pump prime in the background, but we seem to be in good shape. All right, let's see you shortly. All right, so I got everything thrown back together. We just simply need some basic pit data, long-term and short-term fuel trims. What I want to see is the short-term for bank 1 swing the other way and add fuel, because right now we're in the midst of a rich condition. So at some point in time, when all that excessive fuel burn off, it's going to recognize that, hey, you know, I really don't need to take away fuel. Let's go ahead and add fuel and stabilize, and we should be in good shape. So let's start it up here. Here we go. Oh boy. Please tell me this thing didn't hydro lock. Jeez Louise. I'm about to say, all them times have been starting up and not hydro lock. I mean, why would it do it now? So let's let our sensors warm up. So here we go. Yep, we're going positive. That's great. The main thing is we need short term on 1 to go positive. So this is already going to level out to be 0. We need this one, this short term, to go positive. It's got a lot of smoke coming in now. Wow. All that fuel. So we already know bank 2 is gonna be fixed, and it's starting to clear up now. Oh yeah, our misfire's gone. Ooh, we've got a lot of smoke we gotta burn off. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit for it to clear up on, especially on bank 1, because that will just saturate it so much, and then the oxygen sensors, hopefully they're not drastically affected by that overall rich condition. So we're gonna give it a minute, let it warm up. We already know bank 2 is perfectly fine. The misfire is gone. We just need to get all that fuel burned off and those oxygen sensors warmed up. So now we're starting to go positive. There we go. Give me a minute, let me do its thing, and we'll come back. One big thing I forgot to do, well, I know I need to document is changing the oil, because somebody's gonna say something. Yes, it was fuel in the oil. Anytime we get like a bad injector, it's gonna be a lot of gas that bypass those piston rings. And then, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned, she was driving on this for like over a week. Because we talked about this for a week before she wound up bringing it. Ain't no telling how long that's been going on before that. So I got a 10W40. Not sure why they got 2050 on the side there. Unless they just been topping the oil off with 2050. And I think we went over the mileage of this already. It has over 200,000 miles. I'm not going to break my neck over the viscosity of the weight. It did continue to smoke, but it got way better. Way better. I just didn't like the little mist that it still kind of have, and I'm going to show you that. Hopefully that gets cured by this, because if you have fuel in your oil, it'll cause rich conditions, and depending on how sensitive that cylinder is that was laden with fuel, it's going to probably cause some problems. I need to top it off a little bit more, but that'll be fine for right now, that gallon. Let me start it up and we can go over what I was experiencing. But again, it runs better. It just have a little slight miss I'm not satisfied with. I'm not sure if she damaged the motor. And mind you, even though it hydro locked a little bit when I started up, maybe it was a star thing. I don't know yet. Where's that top? Here we go. I don't know, but it's been, you got to take consideration that one episode where it hydro locked a little bit when I was starting up versus running like this for an entire week. You saw how bad the injector was. This thing probably sustained permanent damage, but I don't think so. Hold on. So as of right now, it's running okay. It's just got like a faint mist. But when I pull the oil cap off, you know, there's no blow by coming from here. No, it's just a little bit of pressure. There's no smoke. So I'm thinking because of all the fuel that was in the oil, that should help a whole lot with any smoking that's coming out the tailpipe. Because it was a little bit of smoke. Well, not a little bit. It was smoke coming out, but it was nowhere near as aggressive as what we saw before. But it could have just been old fuel sitting in the exhaust system. I'm hoping. Got my fingers crossed. I don't think we got anything else. I'm going to put some more miles on it, and it should clear up a little bit better. But as of right now, let's take another look at our fuel trim. Oh yeah, that looks really good now. That's perfect. So I need to change the oil to get the fuel trims back 100%. I'm not going to break my neck over the long term, because this is going to oscillate and then compensate, make this long-term adaptation. So I'm not worried about that. We're in good shape. Definitely changing the oil helped astronomically with the fuel trim. Oh yeah. So that was the final thing that needed to be done with that misfire. And now I'm gonna put some more miles on it real quick. Let me just give me a second. So our fuel trims look great. We're in the green right now. Took it on test drive for a while, and unfortunately cylinder 1 is still misfiring, but it's not an aggressive misfire. I think what happened, you know, is just likely sustained some sort of mechanical damage permanently as a result of driving on this duck injector. And mind you, she had it for a week, over a week, driving like this. I mean, there's really nothing much I can do. But I will say, as far as anything that was done, as far as the diagnosis, as far as the replacement, that was legit. The long-term, short-term fuel trims, all that shows how reliable the repair was. Look how perfect our fuel trims are on bank 1. 2, I mean, it's going to level out, but I still think, despite driving like 15-20 miles, there's some unburned fuel still in there in the exhaust system, and we probably got a little bit of scavenging. Oh yeah, I will say there was some putty on bank 2, so that explains that. If that small exhaust leak was fixed, we'll be fine there. So I'm going to ignore that. Bank 1 is the main thing. We're fixed with that. I think we just got some mechanical problems, and there's a couple things that can happen since it's, hydrolock, the head gasket. If there's a lot of pressure inside the combustion chamber and water can't compress, it's going to go out through this weakest link, whether it go through a valve or through a head gasket, through the piston rings, and it can cause some damage. And again, it's no telling, but for what was done in the video, this is 100% fixed, and it drives perfectly fine when in motion. It's just when it's stationary, it has a little bit of misfire. You can feel the sensation, and I don't know, could be dealing with the bent piston rod, don't know. But I will say, if anything happened and it got to come back, I'll definitely update. And if you want to look into this any further, I'll definitely update. But hit a link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, how to reach some more work. See you on the next one.